The alarm bells screamed through orbital station Taeyang like angry metal birds. Kang Dae-ho dropped his welding torch and ran toward the main hangar bay. Something big was coming in, and from the sound of those alarms, it was coming in fast and broken. He pushed through the crowd of mechanics and dock workers. Everyone was pointing at the main viewport. Dae-ho pressed his face against the cold glass and saw it. A warship. Not just any warship, but a Draconith battlecruiser, spinning slowly through space like a wounded animal. Black scorch marks covered its red hull. One of its wings was completely gone, the other hung by cables and prayers. "That's the Crimson Talon," someone whispered behind him. "I heard about that ship. It's commanded by one of their best warriors." Dae-ho watched as the ship lurched into the docking bay. The landing was rough. Metal scraped against metal. Sparks flew everywhere. When the ship finally stopped moving, smoke poured from its engines. Commander Park Ji-woo's voice came over the station speakers. "All mechanics, to Hangar 7. Priority 1 repair. Move now." Dae-ho grabbed his tool bag and ran. His boots clanged against the metal floors. His heart hammered in his chest. He had fixed hundreds of ships in his 5 years on the station, but never a Draconith warship. Dragons were proud. They usually refused human help. When he reached Hangar 7, the Crimson Talon looked even worse up close. Holes punched through the armor. Wiring hung out like guts. The smell of burned circuits and leaking fuel filled the air. This ship should not have made it here. This ship should be dead. The main hatch opened with a hiss of pressurized air. Dae-ho stepped back. Everyone stepped back. Dragons were big. They were warriors. They did not like weakness. And they definitely did not like humans much. She stepped out into the light. Rysala of the Flame Wing clan stood 7 feet tall. Her scales were deep crimson, darker than her ship. Her wings, folded tight against her back, were torn and burned. She wore ceremonial battle armor, dented and scratched from combat. Her helmet covered her face, but Dae-ho could see her eyes through the visor. They glowed like melted gold. Angry gold. "Who is in charge here?" Her voice was deep and rough, like stones grinding together. Commander Park stepped forward. "I am. Commander Park Ji-woo. Welcome to Station Taeyang. We will repair your ship. I do not need your welcome. I need repairs. Now." Rysala looked at the gathered mechanics like they were insects. "My ship must fly within 2 days. Can you do this? Or should I find a station with competent workers?" Park's jaw tightened. But he kept his voice calm. "We can do it. Kang Dae-ho will lead the repairs. He is our best." Rysala's glowing eyes fixed on Dae-ho. He felt small under that stare. Very small. "A human? You give me a human to fix a Draconith warship?" "Yes," Park said. "Because humans fix things other species say cannot be fixed." For a long moment, Rysala said nothing. Then she made a sound that might have been a laugh or might have been a threat. "Fine. But if you fail, human, I will make sure everyone knows that Station Taeyang employs fools." She turned and walked back toward her ship. Dae-ho followed, his tool bag heavy on his shoulder. The other mechanics scattered to grab equipment and supplies. Everyone moved fast. No one wanted to anger a dragon more than she already was. Inside the Crimson Talon, the damage was worse than Dae-ho had imagined. Control panels were shattered. The walls had holes you could put your fist through. Dried blood stained the pilot's chair. Not human blood. Dragon blood, which was darker, almost purple. Rysala stood in the cockpit, her back to him. Her hands gripped the edge of the broken console. Her whole body was tense, like a wire pulled too tight. "The Vraxim swarm," she said without turning around. "They ambushed us near the Korath Nebula. We fought for 6 hours. 6 hours of hell." Dae-ho set down his tool bag carefully. He had heard of the Vraxim. insect creatures from the dark edge of the galaxy. They attacked in massive swarms, overwhelming their enemies with numbers and fury. "How many ships did you have?" he asked quietly. "Enough." Her voice was sharp, final, the kind of voice that said, "Do not ask more questions." But Dae-ho saw something in the reflection of the broken screen in front of her. Her helmet had a crack running through it. A thin crack, barely visible. And through that crack, he saw her face. He saw the tear. It caught the light as it rolled down her scaled cheek. Just one tear, moving slowly, like it was fighting to exist. Then it was gone, absorbed by the padding inside her helmet. Dae-ho looked away quickly. He focused on his tool bag, pretending he had not seen anything. "I will start with the main power systems," he said. Then, navigation. Then, weapons. "The hull repairs will take the longest. But I can patch the critical breaches first." Rysala turned to face him. Even through the cracked helmet, her eyes burned. "You saw nothing." "Human, sir? Just now. You saw nothing. Do you understand?" Dae-ho met her gaze. Those golden eyes were fierce and bright and full of warning. But underneath the warning was something else. Something that looked like fear. "I understand," he said. "Good." She moved past him toward the exit. "Dragons don't cry. Remember that. We do not cry. Ever. What you think you saw was hydraulic fluid, or coolant, or your imagination." "Yes, sir." She stopped at the hatch. For a moment, Dae-ho thought she might say something else. But she just stood there, her hand on the frame, her wings trembling slightly. Then she was gone, her boots echoing through the corridor until the sound faded to nothing. Dae-ho stood alone in the broken cockpit. He looked at the pilot's chair with its dark stains. He looked at the shattered screens and the torn metal and the burn marks on every surface. He thought about 6 hours of fighting. 6 hours of hell. He knelt down and opened his tool bag. His hands were steady. They always were when he worked. That was what he was good at. Fixing things. Making broken things whole again. But as he pulled out his first diagnostic tool, he thought about that tear. That single tear rolling down a dragon's face. "Dragons don't cry," she had said. But he had seen it, clear as starlight, real as the metal under his hands. Dae-ho connected his scanner to the ship's main power line. The readings that came back made him whistle low. This ship should not be flying. This ship should not even be holding together. The fact that it had made it to the station was a miracle. Or maybe it was something else. Maybe it was the pure, stubborn will of the pilot refusing to let it die. He began to work, his tools singing their familiar songs of repair and restoration. Outside, the station continued its endless rotation around the planet below. Ships came and went. Life continued. But in the broken cockpit of the Crimson Talon, Kang Dae-ho worked with extra care. Because he understood something now. This was not just a ship that needed fixing. This was a warrior who needed help. Even if she could never ask for it. Even if asking would break her. More than the battle had. "Dragons don't cry," she had said. But Dae-ho had seen her tears under the broken helmet. And now, he could not unsee them. Dae-ho did not sleep that night. He worked under the flickering lights of the Crimson Talon, his hands moving from one broken system to another. Every time he fixed something, he found 2 more things destroyed. The ship was dying from 1,000 wounds. Around 3 in the morning, he found the navigation core, or what was left of it. The entire unit was melted into a solid lump of metal and circuits. No repair could fix this. It needed complete replacement. "How did you even navigate here?" he muttered to the empty cockpit. He moved deeper into the ship, following the trail of emergency repairs. Someone had patched the life support systems with pieces that did not match. Different metals. Different technologies. Some parts looked Draconith. Others looked like they came from salvaged enemy ships. Whoever had done this work had been desperate and clever and very, very tired. In the crew quarters, Deho stopped. 24 beds lined the walls. 24 small lockers. 24 spaces for warriors who were not here anymore. Dust covered everything. The air smelled stale and old. He found a data pad on one of the beds. The screen was cracked, but still working. When he touched it, words appeared. A log entry. Rizala's voice, recorded weeks ago. Day 47. The Vraxim hit us again today. We lost 3 more ships. Captain Hyojin is gone. Pilot Taemin is gone. I am alone now. The Empire sent a message. They are pulling back from this sector. Strategic losses, they said. They told me to retreat. But there are colonies here. People. I cannot leave them. Deho's hand tightened on the data pad. He scrolled forward. More entries. Each one shorter than the last. Each one more tired. Day 62. Fix the port engine with parts from Hyojin's ship. I can still smell her perfume in the metal. I should not have let her take point position. I should have known. Day 73. The navigation core is dying. I am flying by instinct now. By memory. The way our ancestors did before computers. Day 89. I am so tired. My wings ache. My hands shake. But I cannot stop. If I stop, they win. If I stop, I admit I failed them all. The last entry was from 2 days ago. Day 94. I need help. I hate that I need help. Dragons do not ask for help. But my ship is dead, and I am dying with it. There is a human station near here. Humans are weak, but they are clever with machines. Maybe clever is enough. Maybe clever can save what strength could not. Deho set down the datapad carefully. His chest felt tight. 3 months. She had been fighting alone for 3 months, holding the line while her empire abandoned her. Watching her entire wing die one by one, he heard boots in the corridor behind him. Heavy boots. Dragon boots. Rysala filled the doorway. She had removed her helmet. Her face was sharp and angular, with scales that caught the light. 2 small horns curved back from her forehead, her golden eyes fixed on the datapad in his hands. You read my logs. Her voice was flat, empty. I did not mean to invade your privacy. I was looking for technical information about the repairs. You found more than technical information. Yes. They stood in silence. The ship hummed around them, a dying song of failing systems and stressed metal. How bad is it? Rysala asked. Tell me truth. Can you fix my ship in 2 days? Deho turned to face her fully. No. Not in 2 days. Maybe not ever. Your navigation core is completely destroyed. Your life support is held together with hope and spare wire. Your engines should have exploded 50 times during your flight here. I do not know how you made it this far. Something flickered across Rysala's face. Not anger. Something deeper. Something that looked like the moment when a person finally stops fighting and lets themselves fall. I see. She walked to one of the empty beds and sat down. Her wings drooped. Then, I am finished. My ship is finished. I did not say that. She looked up at him. You said you cannot fix it. I said I cannot fix it in 2 days using proper parts and proper methods. Deho smiled. Just a little. But humans do not always use proper methods. We improvise. We adapt. We make things work even when they should not work. That sounds like cheating. Maybe. But cheating is better than dying. Rysala's expression changed. Not quite a smile, but something close. Something that looked like it had been a smile once. A long time ago, before 3 months of hell burned it away. Show me, she said. For the next 6 hours, they worked together. Deho showed her how humans rebuilt engines, using parts from 3 different manufacturers, how they tricked power systems into accepting jury-rigged connections, how they convinced computer cores to talk to each other, even when they spoke different languages. Rysala learned quickly. Her hands were bigger than his, her claws sharp, but she was precise and careful. When something did not work, she did not get angry. She just tried again, differently. In my empire, we build everything to last 1,000 years, she said while replacing a circuit board. Everything must be perfect. Everything must be pure. Using parts from other species would be considered shameful. And if those perfect parts are not available? Deho asked. Then you fight without them. You die with honor, rather than live with shame. Renumber 2. With created. That seems like a waste of good warriors. Raisala's hands stopped moving. She looked at the mixed collection of parts spread out before them. Draconith power cells next to human processors next to salvaged Vraxim shielding. Perhaps, she said quietly. Perhaps it is. They worked in comfortable silence after that. The ship slowly came back to life around them. Green lights replaced red ones. Systems that had been dead for weeks flickered and hummed. It was not beautiful work. It was not perfect. But it was working. Around midday, they were testing the main power relay when something went wrong. A surge ran through the system. Sparks exploded from the control panel. Deho jumped back, but not fast enough. A piece of hot metal caught his arm. He hissed in pain and grabbed his shoulder. Blood welled between his fingers. Raisala moved faster than he had ever seen anyone move. She caught him before he could fall and lowered him to the ground. Her hands were surprisingly gentle. Let me see. She pulled his hand away from the wound. The cut was not deep, but it was bleeding heavily. You need medical attention. And it is just a scratch. It is not just a scratch. She was already pulling emergency supplies from a wall compartment. Her movements were quick and efficient. Military. Efficient. Hold still. As she cleaned and bandaged his arm, Deho noticed something. Her helmet, which she had set aside hours ago, lay broken on the floor nearby. The crack had spread. The whole front piece had fallen away. And her face, so close to his now, showed everything she had been hiding. The exhaustion, the fear, the grief that sat in her eyes like heavy stones. Without the helmet, she was just a person. A tired, hurt person who had been carrying too much for too long. A small sound escaped her throat. Not words, just a sound, like something breaking deep inside. Deho looked up at her face. Another tear rolled down her scaled cheek. Then another. She did not try to hide them this time. Maybe she was too tired to hide them. Maybe the mask had finally broken completely. Captain Hyojin was my sister, Raisala said softly. Her hands stopped moving. Not by blood, but by choice. We flew together for 10 years. She used to sing before battles. Stupid songs. Songs that made everyone laugh. She tied off the bandage with shaking fingers. Pilot Taemin was 22. He had just earned his wings the day before the ambush. He was so proud, so ready to prove himself. Her voice cracked. They all trusted me. 23 warriors. They followed me into that nebula because they trusted me, and I led them to their deaths. Deho said nothing. What could he say? What words existed for this kind of pain? Raisala stood up quickly. She turned away from him, her wings spreading slightly, like she wanted to fly away from this moment, from these feelings, from everything. Dragons don't cry, she said, but her voice was broken glass. We don't cry. We are fire and strength and honor. We do not break. Everyone breaks, Deho said quietly. Breaking does not mean you are weak. It means you are alive. Raisala's shoulders shook. Just once. Just for a moment. Then she straightened, pulled her wings tight against her back, and walked out of the room, without another word. Deho sat on the cold floor, holding his bandaged arm. Around him, the ship hummed its slowly healing song. But he was not thinking about the ship anymore. He was thinking about a dragon warrior who carried the weight of 23 deaths on her shoulders. Who had flown for 3 months on a dying ship because giving up meant admitting she had failed? Who cried even though dragons were not supposed to cry? Who was breaking even though dragons were not supposed to break? The alarm came at dawn. Not the gentle morning bells that usually woke the station. These were the emergency sirens. The kind that meant run, or hide, or fight. Dae-ho rolled out of his bunk, still half asleep. His communicator was already screaming at him before his feet hit the floor. All personnel to emergency stations. This is not a drill. Vraxim swarm detected. Estimated arrival in 4 hours. Begin evacuation procedures immediately. His blood turned cold. 4 hours. They needed at least 6 to get everyone off the station safely. He grabbed his tools and ran toward Hangar 7. The corridors were chaos. People rushed in every direction. Children cried. Emergency lights flashed red against the walls. The whole station felt like a ship taking on water. When he reached the Crimson Talon, Rysala was already in the cockpit running system checks. She had her helmet back on. The broken one, held together with tape and determination. "They found me," she said, without looking at him. "The Vraxim tracked my ship here. I brought death to your station. You brought yourself here because you needed help. That is not the same thing. To the people who will die today, it is exactly the same thing." Her hands flew across the controls. "I am leaving now. My ship is 60% operational. That will have to be enough. 60% is not enough to fight a swarm. Then I will die trying." She started the launch sequence. The engines rumbled and coughed, but came to life. "Get off my ship, Dae-ho. You have done enough. You do not need to die for my mistakes." Dae-ho looked at the cockpit. At the jury-rigged systems and temporary patches and barely working components. 60% operational meant 40% broken. It meant a ship that could fly but could not fight. Not against a swarm. He made a decision. Probably a stupid decision. But humans were good at those. No. He sat down in the co-pilot seat and started strapping himself in. Rysala's helmeted head turned toward him. "What are you doing?" "Coming with you. You need someone to manage repairs during flight. To keep systems running while you pilot. You need a mechanic. I need you to leave. Now. That is an order. You are not my commander." Dae-ho finished, strapping in, and pulled up the engineering displays. "And someone once told me that humans do not leave a job half-finished. Your ship is still half-broken. So I am not leaving." For a long moment, Rysala just stared at him. Then she made that sound again. The one that was half-laugh, half-threat. "You are insane. Probably. You will die. Maybe. But at least, I will not die wondering if I could have helped." Rysala turned back to her controls. Her hands moved across the panel, entering coordinates. "Hold on then. This launch will not be smooth." She was right. The Crimson Talon lurched out of the hangar like a drunk bird. Alarms screamed about stress, fractures, and overheating engines. But the ship flew. Barely. Badly. But it flew. Behind them, Station Taeyang grew smaller. Dae-ho watched through the rear cameras as evacuation ships poured from every hangar. Thousands of people fleeing to the nearby planet. He hoped they would make it. He hoped the Vraxim would chase the Crimson Talon instead. "Where are we going?" he asked. "Away from the station. Away from your people." Rysala pulled them into a sharp turn that made the hull groan. "There is an asteroid field 30 minutes from here. We will hide there. Maybe lose them. And if we cannot lose them, then we fight until we cannot fight anymore." Dae-ho pulled up the weapon systems. Half of them were offline. The other half were functioning at reduced capacity. This was going to be interesting. They flew in silence for a while. The stars streaked past. The ship rattled and hummed and complained. Every few minutes, Dae-ho had to reroute power from one failing system to another. It was like juggling fire while riding a bicycle. Backward. In space. "Why did you stay?" Risala asked suddenly. You could have evacuated. You could have been safe. Deho kept his eyes on his displays. Because you needed help. Even when helping might kill you? Especially then. That is when help matters most. Risala was quiet for a moment. Then she said, In my empire, your behavior would be called foolish. Self-sacrifice without strategic value is considered wasteful. Is that what you think? That I am being foolish? I think you are the bravest person I have ever met. Which might be the same thing as foolish. I have not decided yet. Deho smiled despite everything. Despite the alarms and the danger and the fact that they were probably going to die in the next few hours. I will take that as a compliment. They reached the asteroid field and dove into it. Huge rocks tumbled through space like slow-motion rain. Risala piloted between them, with skill that took Deho's breath away. She twisted and turned the damaged ship through gaps that should have been impossible. Her hands on the controls were confident. Sure. This was what she was born to do. Tell me about your empire, Deho said, while monitoring the sensors. What is it like? Why do you want to know? Because if we are going to die together, I should know more about you than just your name. Risala's laugh was bitter. My empire is old. Ancient. We have ruled the stars for 10,000 years. We value strength above all things. Honor. Discipline. Warriors who never break. Who never show weakness. That sounds lonely. It is our way. But is it a good way? She did not answer immediately. When she did, her voice was softer, uncertain. I used to think so. Before. When I had my wing. When I had Hyojin and Taemin and all the others. We were strong together. Unbreakable together. And now? Now, I am alone. And I am breaking. And I wonder if strength that cannot bend is just another word for brittle. The sensors started screaming. Deho's heart dropped into his stomach. They are here. Vraxim scout ships appeared on the display. Pilots merged with their ships through biological interface. Each scout ship was more organism than machine. Here we go. Risala pushed the throttle forward. The Crimson Talon shot out from behind an asteroid. Weapons hot. Target the lead ship. Deho's hands flew across the weapon controls. He had never fired ship weapons before. But how hard could it be? Point at bad guys. Pull trigger. Hope for the best. The first shot went wide. The second shot hit an asteroid. The third shot actually hit a Vraxim scout, and Deho shouted in surprise and victory. Good shot. Risala yanked them into a hard turn. 2 more coming in from above. Can you target them? I can try. He was sweating now. His hands shook on the controls. This was nothing like fixing engines. This was chaos and speed and things trying to kill them. The battle became a blur. Risala flew like a demon, pushing the damaged ship past its limits. Deho managed weapons and shields and power distribution, moving energy around like a desperate shell game. When the front shields failed, he dumped everything to the rear. When the weapons overheated, he vented heat through the damaged hull sections. They worked together without talking. She would bank left, and he would already be redirecting power to the port maneuvering thrusters. He would call out a target, and she would have them in firing position before he finished speaking. It was like they shared one brain. One purpose. They destroyed 3 scouts. But the other 3 got smart. They spread out and attacked from different angles. The Crimson Talon could not be in 3 places at once. Weapons fire raked across their hull. New alarms joined the old ones. The ship screamed in mechanical pain. We cannot win this. Risala's voice was strained. We need to run. Run where? I do not know. Somewhere. Anywhere. Deho's mind raced. They needed help. They needed backup. They needed a miracle. Then he remembered something. His fingers flew across the communication panel. What are you doing? Risala asked while dodging another attack run. Calling in reinforcements. We have no reinforcements. We will see about that. He opened an encrypted channel to Station Taeyang. Commander Park's face appeared on the screen. Behind him, the station's bridge, was chaos. Daeho? What the hell are you doing out there? Long story. Listen. We are engaging 6 Vraxum scouts in the Korath asteroid field. Well, 3 now. We could use some help. We are evacuating. I cannot spare military ships. I am not asking for military ships. Daeho took a deep breath. Remember what you told Risala? That humans fix things other species say cannot be fixed? Prove it. Gather every repair ship, every mining vessel, every tugboat you have. Bring them here. Those are not warships. No. But they have crews who do not abandon each other. Humans who help even when helping is hard. Bring them, Commander. Please. Park stared at him through the screen. Behind him, someone shouted about hull breaches. Then Park smiled. It was a tired smile. A crazy smile. The smile of someone who just decided to do something very stupid for very good reasons. Give me 20 minutes. The screen went dark. Risala looked at him. Even through the helmet, he could feel her staring. What did you just do? Number Kessin. What did you just do? I called for help. Human style. And they will come? Your repair ships and mining vessels will come to fight? Yes. Because that is what we do. We help. Even when it is dangerous. Even when it is stupid. We help. Because someone needs help. Another weapons blast hit them. The ship shuddered and listed to one side. More systems went red. Can we last 20 minutes? Risala asked. Daeho looked at his displays. At all the red lights, and critical warnings, and systems on the edge of failure. We have to, he said. So we will. They dove back into the asteroids, running and fighting and barely surviving. 20 minutes suddenly seemed like 20 years. But they held on. They kept flying. Because humans did not give up. And neither did dragons. Not when someone was coming to help. They hid behind an asteroid the size of a small moon. The Crimson Talon was dying. Every display showed red. Every system screamed warnings. Smoke filled the cockpit. Daeho's arm hurt where the bandage had torn open. Blood spotted his sleeve. They are still looking for us, Risala said quietly. Her voice sounded tired. So tired. 3 scouts searching the field. They will find us eventually. How long can we hide? Maybe 10 minutes. Maybe less. Daeho checked his chronometer. Commander Park had said 20 minutes. They had been running and fighting for 18. 2 more minutes. Just 2 more. We need to move, Risala said. If we stay still, they will detect our heat signature. If we move, they will see us. Then we are trapped. Like animals in a corner. Daeho looked at her. Really looked at her. She sat in the pilot's seat with perfect military posture, but her hands shook on the controls. Her helmet hid her face, but he remembered what was underneath. The exhaustion. The grief. The weight of 3 months, fighting, alone. Tell me about them, he said. What? Your wing. Captain Hyojin. Pilot Taemin. The others. Tell me about them. Why? This is not the time for stories. This is exactly the time for stories. We have 2 minutes. Maybe our last 2 minutes. Tell me who they were. For a moment, he thought she would refuse. Then she took a breath. Her hands relaxed slightly on the controls. Hyojin was fierce, brilliant. She could calculate jump coordinates in her head faster than computers. She always knew the right thing to say. Risala's voice softened. She found me once, after my first real battle. I was young. Scared. Pretending not to be. She sat with me and told me that fear does not make you weak. Fear makes you careful. And careful warriors live longer. She sounds wise. She was. She was everything I wanted to be. And Taemin? Too young. Too eager. He wanted to prove himself so badly. Raisala made a sound between a laugh and a sob. The night before the ambush, he challenged me to a piloting contest. Said his reflexes were faster than mine because he was younger. I let him win. Just barely. He was so proud. Deho could picture it. A young dragon warrior. Probably showing off. Probably grinning like youngsters do when they think they are invincible. The ambush was my fault, Raisala continued. Her voice went flat. Dead. Intelligence, said the nebula was clear. I trusted that intelligence. I led 23 ships into hell. We fought for 6 hours. One by one, their life signs went dark on my screen. One by one, they died. And I survived. That is not your fault. I was their commander. Their deaths are always my fault. No. The Vraxim killed them. Bad intelligence killed them. War killed them. But you did not. I should have saved them. You cannot save everyone. That is not how war works. Raisala's hands tightened on the controls again, her whole body tensed. In my empire, a commander who loses their entire wing is considered dishonored. Failure. If I return home, they will strip my rank. They will take my wings. They will make me nothing. Then do not return home. She turned to look at him. What? Your empire abandoned you. They left you to die in this sector. They called your people a strategic loss. Why would you want to go back to people who would do that? Because it is my home. Because it is all I know. Home is supposed to be where people care about you. Where people help when you are hurting. That does not sound like home to me. Raisala was quiet. Outside their hiding spot, the Vraxim scouts continued their search pattern. Death circled closer with every second. When I was a child, she said slowly, I asked my father why dragons do not cry. He told me that tears are weakness, that strong warriors burn their pain into strength instead. That fire inside is what makes us powerful. What do you think now? I think I have been burning for 3 months. Deho unbuckled his harness. He moved carefully through the smoke and sparks to stand beside her chair. Gently, very gently, he put his hand on her armored shoulder. Then stop, he said quietly. Stop burning. Stop being strong. Just for a minute. Just for right now. Be hurt instead. Be tired. Be the person underneath all that armor. Raisala reached up. Her clawed hand touched her helmet. For a long moment, she just held it there. Then she unsealed it and lifted it off. Her face was a mess. Scales dark with exhaustion. Eyes red and swollen. Tears ran freely down her cheeks. No more hiding. No more pretending. They should not have died, she whispered. Hyojin had a family. 3 children. She showed me their pictures every day. She was going home in 2 months. I know. Taemin wanted to be the best pilot in the fleet. He had so many dreams, so many plans. I know. I should have cried for them. I should have mourned them properly. But dragons don't cry. So, I just kept fighting. Kept burning. Kept pretending I was strong enough to carry all this pain alone. Deho squeezed her shoulder. You are strong enough. But you do not have to be strong alone. That is what I am trying to tell you. Humans learned this a long time ago. We are weak alone. But together, we can carry anything. Raisala looked up at him. Tears still fell. But something in her eyes had changed. Something had broken open. Or maybe something had finally been allowed to heal. I failed them, she said. But you are right. The Vraxim killed them. War killed them. I cannot bring them back. But I can. She stopped, swallowed. I can honor them by remembering, by crying for them, by admitting they mattered enough to break my heart. Yes, that is exactly right. She stood up. Even exhausted and crying and broken, she was tall, powerful. But now, The power felt different. Not rigid, not brittle. Something more flexible, more real. Thank you, Kang Dae-ho, for seeing my tears, for not looking away, for reminding me that. She paused, searching for words. That dragons can cry, that maybe we should cry. That tears are not weakness. They are proof that we loved something enough to grieve its loss. Dae-ho smiled. You are welcome. The chronometer beeped. 20 minutes. Time was up. As if the universe had heard, the communication panel lit up. Commander Park's face appeared, grinning like a maniac. Dae-ho? Still alive out there? Barely. Please tell me you brought help. Oh, we brought help. Look up. They did. Through the cockpit window, through the asteroids. They saw them coming. Not warships, not military cruisers with big guns and heavy armor, but human ships. Repair vessels with their mechanical arms extended like weapons. Mining ships with their drilling lasers ready. Cargo haulers and tugboats and station shuttles. 20 ships. 30. 40. More appearing every second. And at the front, flying in perfect formation, were Lee Ha-Nul and the other mechanics from Station Taeyang. Their repair ship had "Humans Fix Things" painted on the side in big, bright letters. You called for mechanics, Commander Park said. We brought everyone who could fly, some who barely could, but they all wanted to help. Because you were right, Dae-ho. Humans do not abandon each other. Not ever. Rysala stared at the fleet of unlikely warships. They came. Your people came to fight for us, not for us. Dae-ho corrected gently. With us. That is the difference. That is what humans do. Dae-ho. 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 The Vraxim scouts detected the new arrivals. They broke off their search and turned to face this strange new threat. 3 small scouts against 40 human ships. The scouts should have run. But Vraxim do not run. They only fight. All ships, Commander Park's voice came over the open channel. You know what to do. Show these bugs what happens when they threaten our friends. The human fleet surged forward. Not organized, not military, but together, united. A swarm of their own. But one made of compassion and stubbornness, and the simple human refusal to let good people die alone. Mining lasers cut through Vraxim shields. Mechanical arms grabbed scout ships and threw them into asteroids. Cargo haulers rammed enemy craft. It was chaos. It was beautiful. It was the most human thing Dae-ho had ever seen. Let us help them, Rysala said. She was smiling now. Actually smiling, tears still on her face, but smiling through them. Let us show these humans how a dragon fights when she is not fighting alone. She put her helmet back on. Buckled in. Her hands moved across the controls with renewed purpose. The crimson talon roared back to life. Ready, mechanic? She asked. Always, Dae-ho said. They shot out from behind the asteroid, damaged and broken, and barely flying. But flying nonetheless. Flying together. Flying toward their friends who had come to help. Flying toward hope. The battle was short and fierce. The Vraxim scouts never had a chance. Not against 40 ships, flown by people who cared. Who helped. Who refused to give up. When the last scout exploded in a shower of burning metal, the human fleet erupted in cheers. Horns honked. People shouted through the communication channels. Lee Ha-Nul was crying and laughing at the same time. Rysala sat back in her chair. Her hands finally stopped shaking. The fire inside her, the one that had been burning for 3 months, finally cooled. Not extinguished. Just calm. Peaceful. Dragons can cry, she said quietly. To herself as much as to Dae-ho. And humans can fight. And together, maybe we can survive anything. Dae-ho smiled. They limped back to Station Taeyang, with the human fleet surrounding them like a protective shell. The Crimson Talon was in worse shape than ever. More holes. More broken systems. More smoke and sparks and dying metal. But it was flying. That was what mattered. Dae-ho watched the repair ships through the cockpit window. Lee Ha-Newell's vessel flew close, matching their speed. She waved through her viewport. He waved back. "Your people are strange," Rysala said. She had removed her helmet again. No point hiding anymore. They fight with mining equipment and cargo ships. They celebrate, like they won a great battle, when really, they just survived. That is because surviving is winning. For humans, anyway, dragons measure victory differently. Glory, honor, enemies destroyed. Did your way make you happy? Rysala considered this. I never thought about being happy. I thought about being strong, being worthy, being what my empire expected. And now? Now, I think maybe happiness matters more than I believed. They docked in Hangar 7. The same hangar where Rysala had arrived 2 days ago. Angry and proud and hiding her tears. It felt like a lifetime had passed since then. Maybe it had. Maybe that version of Rysala had died somewhere in the asteroid field. Maybe something new had been born instead. Commander Park met them at the hangar entrance. Behind him stood half the station's crew. Mechanics and engineers and dock workers. Humans who had dropped everything to help a dragon they barely knew. "Welcome back," Park said. His smile was genuine. Warm. That was either the bravest or stupidest thing I have ever seen. I have not decided which. 8. 1. 8. Why not both? Dae-ho climbed down from the ship, his legs shaky. 2 days without sleep. Multiple battles. Too much adrenaline and not enough food. He was running. On empty. Lee Ha-Newell rushed forward and grabbed him in a hug. "You insane fool. You beautiful, insane fool. You could have died, but I did not. Because you got lucky. No. Because Rysala is an incredible pilot. And because 40 humans showed up with mining lasers and stubborn hearts." Ha-Newell pulled back and looked at him seriously. "We would do it again. You know that. Right? If you needed help. If anyone needed help. We would come. I know. That is what makes you amazing." Rysala descended from the ship more slowly. She moved like every bone in her body hurt. Probably because they did. 3 months of fighting and pain and carrying too much weight. That kind of damage does not heal quickly. The crowd went quiet when they saw her face. A dragon without her helmet. A warrior with tears still drying on her scales. She stood before them, vulnerable and tired and completely exposed. "I want to thank you," she said. Her voice was rough but steady. "You did not have to help me. I brought danger to your station. I put your people at risk. But you came anyway. You fought for me. With me." Commander Park stepped forward. "You needed help. That is enough reason for us. In my empire, accepting help is considered weakness. Showing gratitude is considered shameful. Strong warriors stand alone. That sounds lonely. It is." Rysala looked at all the human faces, watching her. "You have taught me something these past days. Something my people forgot long ago. Strength is not about standing alone. It is about knowing when to ask for help, when to accept kindness, when to admit that you cannot do everything by yourself." She turned to Dae-ho. "You saw my tears under my broken helmet. You could have looked away, pretended you saw nothing, let me keep my pride. But you did not. You stayed. You helped. You reminded me that crying is not weakness, that grief is not shameful, that dragons can cry, that maybe we should cry. 4. This well. 1. This well." Dae-ho felt his throat tighten. "I only did what needed doing. You did more than that. You saved me. Not my ship. Me. The person. Underneath the armor." The station's sensors suddenly screamed. Everyone jumped. Commander Park grabbed his communicator. "What now?" he barked. The reply made everyone freeze. Multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace. Big ones. Reading Vraxim signatures. Lots of them. The crowd erupted in panic. People ran for emergency stations. Evacuation alarms began to wail. Daeho felt ice in his stomach. They had fought 3 scouts. This sounded like an entire fleet. How many ships? Park demanded. 20. No. 30. They keep coming. It is a hive ship and escorts. Moving toward the station. Estimated arrival in 40 minutes. Rysala's face went hard. Battle ready. She turned toward her ship. "I will buy you time. Get your people to safety." "Your ship cannot fight," Daeho said. "It can barely fly. Then I will ram the hive ship." One final act of defiance. "No." Park's voice was firm. "We do not sacrifice people needlessly. There has to be another way." Oh, but what way? They had no military ships. Station Taeyang was a repair hub, not a fortress. Even with all their mining vessels and cargo ships, they could not fight 30 Vraxim warships. "There is one option," Rysala said slowly. "I could call my empire. Request reinforcements." "I would as one. Would they come?" Daeho asked. "I do not know. They abandoned this sector. They called it a strategic loss. Maybe if I explain that these humans helped me when my own people would not. Maybe that will matter." "Your empire does not care about humans," Park said bluntly. "No. But they care about honor. And there is no honor in abandoning those who showed kindness when you could not." She pulled out a communication device. Old, military. Probably her last link to her former life. She stared at it for a long moment. "If I do this," she said quietly, "I will have to tell them everything. That I failed my wing. That I cried. That I accepted help from humans. They will cast me out. Strip my rank. I will lose everything." "Then do not call," Daeho said. "We will find another way. There is no other way. You know this." She looked at him, with those golden eyes. Clear now. Certain. "But it is worth it. You are worth it. All of you. You taught me that some things matter more than rank or honor or what other people think. Kindness matters. Compassion matters. The courage to show weakness matters." She activated the device. Static filled the air. Then a voice. Cold. Official. Very. Dragon. "This is Captain Rysala of the Flamewing clan," she said. "I am requesting immediate military support at Station Taeyang. Vraxim hive ship and escorts approaching. Human civilians in danger. Captain Rysala, you were ordered to retreat from that sector weeks ago. Why are you still there?" "Because I needed help. Because I failed my wing. And my ship was dying. And I had nowhere else to go. Because humans helped me. When my empire would not." Silence. Long silence. Daeho held his breath. "You admit to failure? To accepting alien assistance?" "Yes. I admit it. I failed. I cried. I broke. And humans saw all of that and helped me anyway. They asked for nothing in return. They just helped. Because that is what they do. And now they need me. They need us. Send ships, please." More silence. Then, "You are aware this admission will result in your discharge?" "I am aware. I do not care. Send ships." "Why should we protect humans?" "Because it is the right thing to do." Rysala's voice rose. Not anger. Passion. "Because they showed me that strength is not about standing alone. That honor is not about never breaking. That the bravest thing you can do is ask for help when you need it, and give help when someone else needs it. Because they are better than us in the ways that actually matter. Send ships. Now." "That is not a request." The communication crackled. Then, impossibly, ships inbound. Estimated arrival 30 minutes. Dragon Fleet Commander Bo-Ra will take tactical command upon arrival. The device went dead. Raisala stood very still. She had just ended her entire career, destroyed her reputation, given up everything she had worked for, her whole life. "Thank you," Park said softly. "That could not have been easy." "It was the easiest decision I ever made." She turned to Daeho. "Because I learned from the best teacher. A human mechanic who saw a dragon crying and decided to help, instead of look away." The next 30 minutes were chaos. The station finished evacuating non-essential personnel. The human fleet took defensive positions. The Crimson Talon, barely functional, limped into a support role. Then they came. Dragon warships, dropping out of hyperspace like falling stars. Sleek and deadly and beautiful. 15 ships. 20. 25. The Dragon Empire fleet, in all its glory. And behind them, tracking them, came the Vraxim. The hive ship was enormous, twice the size of the biggest dragon warship. Its escorts spread out like a plague of metal locusts. "All ships," came a new voice over the communications. Deep, female, commanding. "This is Fleet Commander Bo-Ra. We are engaging the Vraxim. Human vessels. Maintain defensive positions around the station. We will handle this threat." The battle was like watching gods fight. Dragon warships moved with impossible precision. Their weapons lit up the darkness. The Vraxim fought back with their terrible swarm tactics. But the dragons were ready. They had formation, discipline, power. But the Vraxim had numbers, and fury, and hunger. Vraxim, and Ophuent. The battle raged for an hour. Then 2. Ships exploded on both sides. The space around Station Taeyang became a graveyard of burning metal and dying light. Then the human fleet did something unexpected, something very human. Lee Hanul's voice came over the general channel. "Dragon ships, this is human repair vessel designated Fix-It 5. Your port flank is taking heavy damage. We are moving to support with mining lasers and mechanical interference. Human vessel, stay back. This is a military engagement. With respect, Commander, we did not come here to watch. We came to help. So, we are helping." Hanul out. The human ships surged forward, not to fight directly, but to support. Mining lasers cutting through Vraxim shields to give dragons clear shots. Cargo haulers ramming enemy scouts to save wounded dragon ships. Repair vessels pulling damaged warships out of the firing line. It was not military. It was not proper. But it worked. Slowly, impossibly, the tide turned. The Vraxim began to retreat. Their hive ship, wounded and burning, jumped to hyperspace. The remaining escorts fled after it. The battle was over. The humans had survived. The dragons had won. And everyone had done it together. Commander Bo-Ra's face appeared on every screen. She was older than Raisala, with silver scales and eyes like cold stars. "I want to speak with Captain Raisala. Now." Raisala stood straight, proud, ready to face whatever came next. Daeho stood beside her. He did not have to, but he wanted to, because that is what friends do. "I am here," Raisala said. Bo-Ra studied her for a long moment. "You disobeyed orders. You admitted to failure. You cried. You accepted help from aliens. By all our laws, you should be discharged in disgrace. I understand. However," Bo-Ra's expression softened slightly, "I also saw something today. I saw humans risk their lives for people they barely know. I saw repair ships fight warships because it was the right thing to do. I saw your Crimson Talon fly into battle on a ship that should not fly because you refused to abandon those who helped you." She paused. "And I saw a dragon who cried, who admitted she was broken, who asked for help. And that dragon saved thousands of lives today, because she was brave enough to show weakness. Tell me, Captain Rysala, which is stronger, the warrior who never breaks, or the warrior who breaks and stands back up? Rysala's voice was quiet but firm. The one who stands back up, because she knows she does not have to stand alone. Bora smiled. It was small, but real. Correct. Your rank is hereby restored. Your wing is being reformed. And from this day forward, the Dragon Empire will maintain an alliance with Station Taeyang and the human fleet. We have much to learn from each other. The communication ended. The hangar erupted in cheers. Humans hugged dragons. Dragons awkwardly patted humans on the head. Lee Ha-Nul was crying again, but happy crying this time. Daeho looked at Rysala. You did it. You changed everything. We did it. You and me, and everyone who was brave enough to help. What will you do now? I will rebuild my wing, but differently this time. I will teach young dragons what you taught me. That strength includes vulnerability. That honor includes asking for help. That tears are not weakness. They are proof that we loved something enough to grieve when we lose it. She looked down at him, this tall, proud dragon warrior, with tear-streaked scales and eyes full of hope. Will you visit sometimes? When the Crimson Talon needs repairs? Always. That is what friends do. Friends, she tested the word. Yes, I like that. Dragons and humans. Friends. Outside the hangar windows, the stars shone bright and clear. The battle was over. The danger had passed. And in the wreckage and chaos and impossible victory, something new had been born. Dragons could cry. Humans could fight. And together, they could change the galaxy. Daeho watched Rysala walk toward her ship. Her wings held high but not rigid. Strong but not brittle. Powerful but not alone. She turned at the hatch and waved. He waved back. Later, much later, after the repairs and celebrations and long conversations about alliance and friendship, Daeho found a package at his bunk. Inside was a small token, carved from dragon scale. Words were etched in both languages. Dragons can cry, and mechanics can fly. Thank you for teaching me to be both strong and soft. For seeing my tears and not looking away. For reminding me that the bravest thing you can do is admit when you need help. Daeho smiled and put the token on his shelf, right next to his tools, right where he could see it every morning. Because some lessons are too important to forget. Some friendships are too precious to lose. And some tears matter enough to remember forever.